This is Tehachapi. Sit back and relax as Key, Corey, Greg, and Ashley talk about what's happening in and around Tehachapi.
It's Tehachapi time. Key Budge, Greg Garrett, Corey Costello. Guys, how are you?
Doing good, Key.
Good.
We're going to talk about our local beer scene that we've got here and one of the pioneers here in Tehachapi.
Right, microbrewery, Westlane Brewery, 5 years, 5-year anniversary just recently.
Derek Davis is our guest today. Derek, welcome to Tehachapi.
Thank you, welcome.
So, Greg, you enjoy the music that you're able to listen to when you go around town to different businesses, and you brought to my attention, I wasn't aware of this, that Derek is really responsible for a lot of this.
He's kind of the entrepreneur when it comes to the music and food scene in Tehachapi. So we have 3 microbreweries in the city. We have 2 wine tasting rooms. Stray Leaves opened a couple weeks ago, and then a new one coming soon. And then 5 wineries out in the county of Tehachapi. And over the last several years, they've all started increasing their food options, food trucks, and music selections. And Derek, I believe, is a big part of that. So I wanted to get him on there. This is all about economic. This is not about beer and wine. It's about economic development.
Wait, time out. Did he sell this to you because he said, I enjoy the music?
Yes.
Come on.
That's exactly what he pitched was the
Part of the entire ecosystem of Westlane.
I like all genres.
But it was the music part
Sure.
that has changed, because we were talking about Tehachapi's become a destination for music now.
Yes, it has.
I mean, we've talked about our wineries, we've talked about our breweries, but because of this element that you've introduced, it's now on the music scene.
Now we're hoping to continue that trend that we've got going, because we've got good bands from everywhere coming in, and we get hit up at least once a week from bands from all over. I mean, they're traveling through to South by Southwest music festivals or the coastal music festivals, and they just want to do a set here and there. So if you haven't been in to check it out, it's worthwhile.
It's really cool when I see that. I'll see like a promotion and they'll be like, oh, so-and-so just got done playing. I keep saying it's like, they're going from Fresno to Las Vegas, and they like have an extra night.
Yep.
And they're like, I'm going to go do a set at Westlane or whatever. And it's really cool to see those touring acts. And sometimes they go to Westlane, and sometimes now they're even, maybe that genre doesn't fit, or you're booked that night, so they go play Tehachapi Winery or something like that too. So it's really cool, like we're getting on people's sort of tour schedules, or we're a last-minute fill-in, but it's awesome because we now have venues for them to play at that aren't just a bar.
And we're sharing. I mean, we talk with a lot of the wineries and the other breweries and everything too, and it's a good mix of, we can share this. If I'm not open this one, I push them this way or that way, and vice versa too.
Well, I noticed there was a couple winery employees at your business Saturday night, and they were, just enjoying the music. But tell us, how do you get on the list? I mean, if there's Traffic shows, how do you break into that and let them know that, hey, we're here?
Good question. I haven't figured it out yet. They find us. I think it's a lot of social media. I really do, because we've been boosting posts and getting out and everything. And I think it's a lot of word of mouth through Bakersfield music scene, the Lancaster music scene, the punk rock music scene, the reggae music scene. They're all intertwined with each other, like a bunch of different bands playing a bunch of different bands. And then when they like the venue, they want to come back and they tell their friends and things like that. It's cool, because if you don't have a good venue, they don't want to come play. And I've never built a venue before, but apparently we did, and we're doing it. So it's kind of cool to see.
And it's funny because like one night, I think a few months back, you had like a hardcore band play, and the following night it was like 3 folk acoustic style band. I was there for the folk night. I wasn't there for my hardcore days are over. But you had 2 different sort of genres and 2 different nights.
Yeah, and we keep that going a lot too. It's like we try to schedule. What I've been trying to do is schedule like all country music 1 week, 1 month, and that's just keep that same folks, and then bluegrass, and then country folk, something like that, and then maybe some some punk rock scenes come through, and then a reggae scene come through too at the same time. And now that we've got open mics on Wednesday night, it's a good platform for the local musicians and anybody else that wants to come play for free to get exposure. And then we try to book them from there. We give them a spot on a Friday or Saturday night where there's more crowd. Speaking
of local, there's a lot of local talent. Yeah, I've been to all the venues, wineries and breweries, and my goodness, I'm shocked at the local talent. I shouldn't be shocked, because Key, we've talked about this a lot. The local talent, it's here.
This has just opened up the door with all the different venues now that we do have, because it's so true. Now, are they reaching out to you? Are the bands going, hey, Derek, we'd love to come play, or you're not having to search for the acts anymore, right?
Not anymore. We have our staple folks that we communicate, and I keep on like a 3-month rotation, because if you have the same band over and over and over again, they're going to lose luster. And
so no house band.
No, a couple that they play monthly with us, which is
Okay.
kind of cool. It's more of the duets and stuff like that. Like Lauren and Silas play once a month with us, and they're country folk, country pop, that kind of stuff, and they come through and they're great. We've got a couple local kids that we have on the roster all the time. You know, when we have an open spot, they want to come play and get better. It's just exposure for them. But as far as a true house band, no, we don't. I mean, it's just we want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity and a chance to play. So it's different stuff all the time because people like variety, and we want to provide that for them.
Yeah, lots of variety. It's amazing. It goes from one end of the scale to the other. I've heard it all. It's really cool stuff.
The couple open mics, we just started open mic, I think, a month ago or so, and we've had 3 so far. And it's every week it's different. Wednesday nights, 5 o'clock sign up, 6 o'clock start playing, 3 song minimum. We prefer for the songwriters, the true songwriter musicians and everything too, but the covers we'll accept. It's fun to see who comes that night and the talent that comes out of it, whether they're playing acoustic or with a band. And at the end of it, they all get to play together. And that's the fun part, to see when they all mash up and everything and get to play together.
And it's not karaoke.
No,
it's
not
actual.
No.
It's let's get on stage and take this serious.
It's pretty impressive to see the talent and people you would see in the grocery store that's working there, or at an auto parts store, something like that. They bring out their guitars, keyboards, violins, you name it, banjos, mandolins, and it's a totally different environment. It's totally different people that you would see in the stores, and you're like, wow, well, that's unbelievable. You're so good. You're talented.
Now, where's the backstory? Where do you get the desire to do this? I mean, you have so much knowledge. You're talking about how you're booking and doing. Is this all just organic that that you
100%,
create this
100%.
facility and it's just grown from there?
That's all it's ever been. Honestly, I like making beer, and then we finally got to do it, legally 5 years ago, February 1st.
I remember some of the first meetings we had with you, and we thought, okay, well, this is a first, and this is kind of fun, and we'll see how it all works out. But at that point, you weren't thinking music; you were just thinking, I got to move out of my garage into a spot so I can start selling this stuff.
Yeah, I still think about I'm thinking about Tuesday right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's key. It's honestly, it's grown organically. I mean, just within beer festivals, within customer base, within the beers we make, they've gotten better, of course, over time. Going from a homebrew system to, brewing 5 barrels at a time. It takes a little bit of time. And I think we're getting there to out in restaurants, to stores, to canning, to you name it, everything. We're trying to get a little bit better every single time and organically grow.
Well, let's talk about the beer.
Let's do that.
That's where it all started. Right. So what was that motivation? You enjoy drinking beer, and then it was decide, hey, I can do this, and I can make my own, what I really like.
Right. No, I like drinking beer. I enjoy making beer better.
Okay.
It's you find that one thing that's therapy, like woodworking or running or something like that. For me, if you can get there early in the morning and it's quiet, roll up the doors and just go for it and make beer, it's kind of cool. Just to be in the moment doing that kind of things at that point in time, it's real good.
So you guys were home brewers, and didn't you participate in like Cheers to Charity homebrew competitions?
Yeah.
You won it once or twice? Or?
I think so. I have to go back and look. Like a few other little homebrew stuff and everything, and that's when we really started getting feedback as far as like people liking our beer and everything like that. And that was kind of cool. And then it just kind of strapped in from there and elevated from there, and we just kept going with it. So
now, do you still have some of the same original flavors that you started with, and they've been there from the beginning?
There are staples for sure. Like our IPA, our stout, our red, and our blonde are all staple beers that we've had throughout the time.
Do you do seasonal changes? I know you guys get little inspirations, and all of a sudden there's something new that pops up. Where does that kind of come from?
Go with the flow, like with the growing seasons. You get your winter vegetables and your spring vegetables. We have our spring beers, or spring summer beers, and our winter fall beers and everything. So because the stout's not the greatest on a hot sunny day.
My run request is you got to bring back Loop Lager.
Oh, it's there. It's called
good.
Light now.
Oh, it's called what?
Tehachapi Light.
Okay, well, there you go. I do drink that then. So I guess I'm
rebranded.
covered. Perfect. Then I'm covered because that's the one I've been drinking anyway when I go there. Yeah. But it's been cool to watch the transformation of your beers, and you obviously experiment with that, and then even just the facility itself. I mean, you have this little place off of 8th Street, and it was a CrossFit gym when you guys took it over, and you put your brewing system in there, but now you were able to rearrange some things and put a little music stage. You got lights, which you like playing with.
He finally got heat. One day he put in a heater. I'm like, oh, thank God.
And so what's that kind of transition been like as that facility? It's a limited space, but every once in a while you guys seem to go, oh, let's throw some tables back here and put some food folks over here. And it seems like you're maximizing it.
It is. And that's the thing. You don't know what you don't know until you start doing it. And then you go, okay, we should do this better and try. We're always seeking for improvement, the next level stuff kind of things. I mean, like you said, it's organic growth, and never running a brewery before or a real business before, that's the first time. So you look at this and go, okay, we can do this better. We can move this, hang some lights, create the ambiance and everything. And that, I think that just putting up lights drew a bigger crowd too. It's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amazon.
And I watched Derek. He's got the remote control of the lights. He has fun.
He loves
with
the lights.
Yeah, he does. And he does a good job.
But the projector thing is cool when you put, it's big time looking too. When you put, you got the band's logo up there, it's projected on your roll up door. Like it's a really cool, it's a stage made out of pallets and plywood, but it looks big time with the way you're able to light it and everything.
Yeah, and it goes perfectly with North of the Tracks too. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, have there been other breweries that you've gone on taken some inspiration from?
Yeah, a lot. Just if you travel around, and we travel a lot just for sports and just, getting out and just seeing what other people are doing, because it's a big community. When we go to beer fests in different towns and things like that, when we're out doing that kind of stuff, you always want to swing in and take notes from this place and go, gosh, they did it right. Or they've got a great idea by doing this. just everybody's transferring. When COVID hit, everybody transformed their outside areas and made these big outside areas and everything too. So, when it's amazing what you can put, put AstroTurf over concrete, it makes it look wonderful.
It's crazy.
Plant some bamboo or something like that. But
I have this challenge, this internal challenge. I haven't shared it with Derek, but every time I go somewhere, I seek out a microbrewery and I go there and drink a little beer to figure it out. And I send him a photo. He's like, oh yeah, that's
I do
a
the
cool
same
place.
thing.
You should try the blah, blah, blah. I'm in Pocatello, Idaho. I'm in Carlsbad. I'm in wherever. And he's like, oh yeah, you should try this. I'm like, dang it. I need to find a microbrewery he's never been to.
I was way up in the sticks, like Northern Cal. I sent you, it was up there, like Jack Russell Brewery or something. Cool spot, great, beautiful. It's like half winery, half brewery. And I sent him a text and I'm like, this is a really cool place.
I was
like,
yeah, I know.
Your beer's better, but
and that's the humbling thing, is when people actually say that kind of stuff. And every beer's good, and it just depends on what you like and everything too. But it's kind of fun to hear that. It's always humble. I still can't get it through my head that we're in stores now, and it's been 5 years and everything. It's still kind of a big trip to me. It's still like I don't know. It's I'm still taking it in.
Well, Bob Sousa started the wine movement in Tehachapi, and I know that you have had a big part in the beer, and then the food and the music too. So it just continued really good stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It's the community, really. It's based, and our slogan's beer made for community, because that's the most important thing for us. If you don't have a stable community, a good supporting community, you can't go anywhere with it. And that's we just want to focus in on that. And then we'll have our norms and everybody else, from our cheers, our regulars, and that's what we focus in on. And people find us organically here and there, and they come in and everything too, and they become return guests. So
and locals matter. Yeah. I've been in there, and there's astronauts, there's test pilot. All these people, they're just non-discreet, wearing a T-shirt, whatever. You have no idea. But I recognize them, or we'll start chatting about something. And these people have PhDs, and they're designing rockets.
Oh yeah,
and they're hanging out with
Westlane.
Yep.
Yeah, right. It's really neat.
Well, the food part is the other part too. We talk a little bit about the music scene and how that sort of developed. But I used to get people that would come here and they come to City Hall and they want to talk about, hey, I'm moving here from so-and-so and I want to start a food truck. And I'd usually be honest with them. I say, look, you're not going to be successful in this town just trying to set up on a street corner. You can do that. We can permit for that sort of thing, but we don't have the traffic you need. You really need to get connected with the wineries and the breweries. And that's where your bread and butter is going to be going there. And so now between all of you, between all the breweries, between all the wineries, there's a great opportunity for a startup person who doesn't have all what they need to do to be a brick and mortar restaurant, but to make a pretty, nice side hustle, I guess, or even sometimes full time doing these catering trucks and these food truck situations.
Oh yeah, and the food, because that's their specialty. You'll see these trucks come up, and one's a taco truck and one's a pizza truck, and they're good at that, which is really good. So the restaurants have 25 different dishes. These folks focus in on this, and it's really cool to see that though, because they've just gotten better and better as we get time. So if you're looking for pizza, you go here. You're looking for tacos, you go here. If you're looking for
Poke,
exactly.
I've seen people show up to Westlane when Poke Express is there. Literally show up. They might not even get beer. They order food and then they leave because they just wanted Poke and they couldn't get that in town anywhere else except at Westlane.
Yeah, that's last Thursday. We go because Kiki's is a staple for us. Kiki's Tacos. They're one of they're our normal Thursday vendor. And when they don't go out for a week or so, strap in, because that line is long. There was an hour wait easily for people calling orders, and they wait outside, or they come in and visit us for the first time or something like that. But yeah, it's one of the things, if that truck hasn't been around for a while, that the line is really long.
Oh, that's a great problem to have, isn't it?
It's been fun to watch those people grow up too. I say grow up because we were talking about Good Food Gang who you had there Saturday. I remember, like, I think the first or second time they were there, they were operating inside. They had a little tent. It was a grill. Their food was amazing then, but now they're up to a food truck, full nine. I mean, it's an amazing. And a couple people have done that.
Oh, several of them have done that, and it's even with the musicians. We have a lot of the local kids that when we have someone traveling through that's got a big following, like 10,000, 7,000 people, Instagram, Facebook, that are making these bigger venues. I try to have a local kid or local somebody open up for them that maybe doesn't have that exposure, that opportunity. Yeah. So they get together and do it. And we've watched that escalate too at the same time too. So it's helping all those people. You can watch duets happen. You can watch bands form. You can watch. It's pretty amazing to see what goes on. Honestly, if I took notes, I could tell you, this person's with this person now, or this, you could just the iterations of and the growing of everybody. It's amazing to see. That's the best part about the community. So
now earlier you mentioned COVID. Mm-hmm. What did that do? What was the change? I mean, that's 3 years ago. We're in the rearview mirror. Right. I mean, for us, we started the podcast 3 years ago, and it became an avenue for us to talk about all the things the government needed to get information out. Right. But I know there was huge restrictions and things that came through. And are some of those changes that taken effect you guys have kind of grown with and adapted and kept?
Yeah, and that's funny you ask. How did you do this all? Okay, so we opened in 2018. And then COVID hit just slightly after that. We're open a whole full year, and it was going well, and business was going well. We're building clientele, getting a plan out and everything too. Then all of a sudden, this magic thing called COVID hit, and the world got flipped upside down. We didn't know what to do. We were closed for 3 months, and then finally we had to do something. It was either close, or we had to figure something out. So we canned every beer we could. Put everything into cans, started canning for us. So it shoved us in that direction too. And these other restaurants took some kegs, and then the community was great. And we got we're selling cans outside, and that was just everything to go. So it forced us to start doing cans, and so we didn't know what like a steady business looked like. We had a great first year, and then the next 3 years, COVID hit. So forced us to move some different directions and everything, and focus on these different avenues. And I think now that we've been a year out of COVID, or a year and a half out of COVID, or something like that, we're getting back to whatever real looked like, or whatever normal looked like when we first opened, which was really kind of cool.
It probably got the food thing started for you too, because I remember when they reopened breweries, it was like you have to have a meal, you have to serve food. And prior to that, you guys just had menus from TK's Pizza, whatever, and hey, they'll deliver here. And then all of a sudden, it was like, in order to be open during COVID-19, you better have a food option. So that, I think, really opened up the door to calling people and saying, hey, Kiki's Tacos, I need you here so I can serve beer inside or outside.
And it helped them too at the same time, because a lot of those businesses started up when we did, like Pokey Express and Kiki's Tacos, and these other ones that we've known for so long, that have been with us for since the get-go. That shut their businesses down too, and they were looking for venues to post up at and get their name back out there, because that's their livelihood at the same time too.
And you talked about how they evolved, where they came and they've got an easy up and they've got a grill, and now they've got a truck.
Yeah, well, a lot of these places have trucks now and everything too. It's pretty cool to see I think the food truck revolution's here to stay for sure. It's not these roach coaches we used to, get sandwiches from at a job site. I think they seek them out. You can go to these places and follow them on, the social media and go to where they are and get it's got this revolution going on.
And it's more crazy. Respectable to me too. Like, I'd rather eat at a food truck that's at a brewery or a winery. It's not on the side of the road.
Right.
Like I know, because somebody has signed off on them saying, I'm behind the food that this guy's serving, because I'm letting them set up at my business, at my brewery. And so that always helps me as a consumer to go, okay, everything's in line with this person, and someone's vouching for him if I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
and
the facilities exist,
exactly.
right? The bathrooms and the hand washing, all that
hands
stuff.
are clean, all that good
stuff.
stuff.
And it makes it easy for us, honestly, because we'll never have a restaurant in the building that we're at, and it just... We want to focus on making beer and to have a different variety of food, and different people come through. Yeah. And that's following that night. That's the cult of the Good Food Gang, or the cult of Kiki's Tacos, or the following of this food. It's funny to see the people that come in, the faithful of those businesses as well too.
I mean, we look at what you've done with your business. You've got now the food industry. We have a food industry, this mobile food force that's out. So that's business line there. The musicians, that's another business. And then now we've got the tourism aspect, and then we've got tours, and we've got the Tehachapi Beer Mile, and what Discover Tehachapi does. And it's just the ripple effect, Corey. We talk about, an economic development here, and just seeing, okay, one thing is doing well, and how we partner. Instead of it's all me, let me hold it right here. It's open the doors, and all of a sudden everyone is healthy.
Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, and we support local craft beer, and they support us at the same time too. An Old West Brewing Company. It's just it's funny to have 3 breweries that close together in the small town of Tehachapi, or growing town of Tehachapi, I should say. But if you go anywhere else, it's about the same thing. But they all have their businesses, and we all share things when we need. I mean, if somebody needed yeast from me, I'd run them yeast, and vice versa, or hops, or whatever we're out of, and things like that. So there's that community too. But it's great to see the growth that Tyson's done and Frank's done at the same time, and the wineries too at the same time too. Because we've got a project coming up. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's involving a local winery and maybe some of their barrels too at the same time. So it's good to see that partnership and that community build that way too as well.
I've had other cities ask me, how did you guys do that? Like, we had anything to do with it, in terms of like, we're trying to get some microbreweries in our town. There's cities in Kern, smaller cities, and they're asking like, we need that. How did you do that? And I said, first of all, we didn't do any of it other than when people came to us and said, hey, we want to do this. We're like, yeah, let's, you can go here, and how can we help? And obviously there's regulations and rules, and there's not, you can't just say, yeah, sure, do it. There's some steps you got to take, but that was the biggest thing. But we just, we didn't actually go out and seek somebody to start a microbrewery. We just were supportive when they came to us and said, we want to do this.
Partnerships, relationships, remove obstacles, help the, what's the goal? Let's figure out the goal.
Yeah, and that's community right there. And it's cool to see that, the beer fests are coming back, and Tehachapi's got that one going on. And then, this snowball effect that beer does. I mean, it brings people together. I mean, everybody shows up. Hey, you want to go get a beer after work, or want to go get a drink after work, whatever it is. And if you can provide that environment, everybody's comfortable and safe going to, and then just happy to be there. Conversations happens, ideas happen. I mean, the sky's the limit on these kinds of things. And like, then you bring music in at the same time too. And then that creates maybe potential music festivals down the road, in this area and that area, and whoever knows. But it's like, it's something that definitely brings folks together. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I know Tyson over at Local Craft, he's been bottling, canning for years now.
Yeah.
You've just started. Talk to us a little bit about, how did you get into stores and restaurants? How do you create that sort of...
A lot of hustling and legwork.
Just knocking on doors?
Yeah, exactly. Because we're not signed up with a distributor or anything else like that. We self-distribute because we control who gets our beer. Not to say that's a bad or good thing, but we know that we want to support the local businesses and complement back and forth. So we know where our beer's going in certain markets and everything too. And we know what style beers we can take out to this thing. If this one store's flooded with IPAs, we're going to take them lagers or reds, or something different. And we've always made beer that's a little different from everywhere else. We want drinkable beers where they're moderate in alcohol, true to style, and everybody can have and enjoy, where they're not over the top on hops or alcohol content and everything too. We want to make a really good, clean, drinkable beers for everybody. So, but yeah, back to the markets and everything too. We sourced out local restaurants, and TK's bought our first keg from us and everything too. So they're definitely one of the, we have that partnership and that relationship with them too. And we're in TK's Pizza, Old Town Pizza, Stallion Springs Store, Domingo's, trying to think of Round Table Pizza, and a bunch of liquor stores up here, and then a few places in Ridgecrest and Bakersfield now too.
Does it trip you out when you go to the menu and you like see your beer on the menu? You'll go to Round Table and you're on the beer wall right there with the thing. You see your logo and all that.
Just like in Moo Creamery the other day, you look at the menu, I'm like, we have 3 on tap out of their 9 beers. It's pretty impressive. I'm still taken back by that. I don't know if I'll ever get past that point, honestly.
That's great presence.
It is.
Yeah. To have 3 out of their 9 taps.
Yeah.
33% of their market availability is dedicated to you.
In Bakersfield, where they have options.
Yeah.
There's plenty of local breweries down there that have been around a lot longer.
It's a whole nother market. I mean, there's the grandfather lengthwise is down there, and that's, it's cool to see that we're in that market down there too. And all the breweries down there are supportive of all the stuff that goes on. I mean, if we have a festival, they have a festival up here, we can just make a few phone calls and get 10 of them together pretty quickly now, which is kind of cool.
And it says Westlane Tehachapi, California.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Give folks the background on the name too. I mean, we've talked about this in the past, but where you got the idea for Westlane when you were putting this thing together.
Okay, so we're located on 8th Street, not West Lane. There's no West Lane out there. So that's the first question we get. You're
Number
on
one, yeah.
You're on East 8th Street in Tehachapi. Where'd your West Lane come from? So you guys all know, I think, and everything, because we worked together on other projects outside of this, but the name Westlane's a military training ground for special operations. It's west of NTC, which is National Training Center in Barstow. And the military uses this as basically an in-service country here when they do workups and everything too, and they call it the West Lane. And we've been involved with several of their workups here. I know with you guys with the city, and I worked with you guys before previous to that. So yeah, they come through and they treat this like a little country, and they do workups here. You'll never know they're here. They're here all the time, and that's where the name comes from, as an ode to them, basically, because it was a lot of ideas from some of those folks too at the same time.
Yeah. Awesome.
Now, do they recognize that personnel that are involved there? Are they aware of that?
The name of Westlane?
Yeah, that it's here, and
they came up with it.
Okay.
So, and I kept it going.
But they know that you've taken it for. Okay, I love that.
Yeah, they were part of it, and if they have a lot of rotations come through as far as officers running the training lane and everything too. If the folks that originally came up with the concept over some beers one night, it was a kind of a dare. You should open a brewery, Derek. Oh, yeah, that's cool. You should name it Westlane. Okay. And now it's here.
And now
here
5
we are.
years later.
Yep.
And you did just have your 5-year celebration over the weekend, and I think you had Dub Seeds playing. They were a phenomenal band. Great turnout. I think Greg and I looked around. We're like, this is amazing. You had a DJ, then you had the band, and you had just all different walks of life people there to watch them play. But it was your 5-year anniversary celebration. Like, you guys look at that and go, man, this is crazy. Like, we're at this spot
and that's
now.
everybody goes, 5 years, you've made it. And I'm like, no, we haven't made it, man. Tomorrow might bring a whole new challenge.
Anheuser-Busch has been around for 200 years. We got some work to do.
But it's pretty cool because it's still kind of crazy to me that people in town don't know that we exist. I mean, we've been around for 5 years, and be it as it may, COVID happened for 2.5 or 3 years, of our existence, and that's rightfully so. And there's a lot of folks up here that are new to the area and everything too. And that night we were all in there and everything too. On Saturday night when they played, there were still a lot of people. I had no idea who they were. I've never seen them there before, but they heard about it, so they came. So that's kind of cool. They heard about the new beer release too at the same time, which is, I can't believe how many people said we came just for that beer. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Claire was excited about the 5-year anniversary party and talked about it in our weekly. So congratulations on 5 years.
Yeah, it's pretty. I still can't take it in. Honestly, it's kind of crazy because you got to spend time there, and it's just one day after another, keep grinding all the way through.
Well, it's another success story in Tehachapi. We consider ourselves a little incubator, if you will, for small businesses. We really help. We get engaged. We remove obstacles, like I talked before. And Key and I have discussed interviewing more business owners in the Tehachapi area just to put spotlights on what's going on here. So,
yeah, and working with the city and working with you guys and everything too has been great all the way through. It's been as easy as it possibly can be to open a microbrewery from startup. I mean, I've never done this before. It's been an easier process, that's for sure. I mean, we got the building that wasn't, was it like you said, it was a windmill factory before. It was an auto body paint shop. It was a CrossFit gym. It's been offices. I mean, you can still see all the folks. And then one of the beams up there, we've never removed it. It's still got everybody's name from way back when and everything, probably from when the building is built. So we make that and we built that into a brewery, and we're still there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and the thing too with the microbreweries and those environments, whether it's yourselves or LCB or Old West, you do get, it's a different vibe. It's
ambiance is different.
Yeah, you're not
it's
going
not
to a bar
or a restaurant.
You're not serving liquor, which sometimes makes people stupid and they do dumber things. You get a chance. You can go in and you can enjoy a beer, you can enjoy a band, you can enjoy food, whatever it may be. But it's a better, and you're enjoying something that somebody literally handmade. I mean, it was Derek's idea to go, I'm going to put this hop together with this and this, and then we're going to see what comes out. So that's kind of the cool part too. It's not something you're getting off, although you can get some of it off store shelves. It's not something that's mass produced.
No, not by any means. We're brewing 5 barrels at a time, which is about 210 gallons. That's what we strive for, somewhere in and around there.
How long does that normally take to get your whole? I mean, it depends on the beer, obviously. But,
right.
That's what's that process?
A day brewing is about 8 hours.
Okay.
It's about 20 hours of cleaning for about 8 hours of brewing. So, and that's the main thing. I'm more of a cleaning person than I am a brewer. So
you want it to be clean before you start.
Absolutely. It's a lot of cleaning in the process, from the kegs to the lines to the tanks to everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then the brewing, to get 7 barrels out, it's about 8 hours or so. And then it depends on fermentation time.
Well, let's talk about that, because when we had Mike Dorner in here, Mike and Michelle Dorner, and they talked about the science of making the wine and how Mike just really
acidity
dives
levels
in.
and all kinds of stuff. He had it all.
So I'm curious, as on the brewing side, the science involved in is there experimentation?
Yep, very much so. I do a lot of experimentation.
Well, you should invite us to those experiment parties, right?
Quality control.
This one's good, but let me test another one. And
the most important thing for making good beer is water. So you got to have good water, and we use RO water there. So we strip everything down, and then build it back up according to style, whether we're going to add this mineral to give it more of a hoppy flavor, or this mineral will give it more of a maltier flavor too, like the reds and stuff like that, the stouts. And then it depends on temperature, like your mash temperature and everything. And mashing is when you're soaking the grains to make the beer and everything too. Higher mash content is bigger body, lower mash content, higher alcohol, drier beer. So that's when your lights, your lagers, your IPAs and things like that. You want them more crisp and things like that. So it just depends on temperature at the same time too. And then the last addition really is dependent on hops and when you want to add them. Earlier bitter beers, later more fruitful, that kind of, as far as that kind of side of the house, less hoppy bitterness, but more hop presence and everything else like that, and dry hopping. And then yeast, of course, and there's different strands of yeast, but we run 2 or 3 different house yeast and everything too. And that's where we stick with our stuff. So yeah, it's just all.
What kind of requests do you get? Like different flavors, anything?
Don't ever brew a Saison. You and I will fight. If you brew a Saison, we'll fight. We're not friends anymore.
I'm not a sour brewer.
Thank you. Don't brew sour
brewer
either.
Yeah, it's just I'm not good at. I brewed a couple of them, and I wasn't happy with them. I mean, people still drank them, but it wasn't something I'm good at, and I haven't had time to practice at it, so I'm not going to put something out I haven't practiced.
Don't you just like pull that early? Is that how it works? They like kind of pull the beer before it's kind of done. That's how you get a sour or a Saison.
You can sour beer pretty quick, just with different. There's different bacteria you can put in it, believe it or not. Yeah, some bacteria and stuff like that. But if you introduce that into our spot, it can go everywhere. So like some Brettanomyces and things like that, you don't want to bring that into the building. You have to do it off-site and everything too. But there's a lot of folks that do it really well. I mean, the most sour stuff we'll get is some of that barrel-aged stuff we've had, as far as it getting kind of like, I wouldn't say
from
funky.
the wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You put it in a barrel and it's all kinds.
And that was good though. That was a really good. Was that with
a unique taste?
Yep.
Yeah. Was that with Tehachapi Winery? Whose barrel was that?
That was
Triassics?
from Cass Winery of Paso.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But that was cool because I think I knew a lot of like wine folks that don't really drink beer, and they said, "Well, it's kind of like a Cabernet almost, but it's a little, I can tolerate the beer flavor, and they're wine folks."
And a lot of the people that don't like beer don't like the hops. That's the big thing about it. So if you mildly hop a beer, you can probably get them some. We've got 10 on tap. I promise you'll probably like one of them.
Yeah.
Now, you said something very quickly that I don't think we really kind of keyed on. Is you don't put out a beer that you don't practice. So you'll go ahead and before whatever this new flavor is, you want to make sure that it hits the mark. So you do practice batches just to make sure that
we do some pilots. Right? Yeah, some pilots, and then I've done some pilots, like Loop was a pilot. Loop Lager was a pilot, the iteration into Tehachapi Light, because it clicked better, and the can looked cool. If you remember your dad's beer can from way back when that said beer, we kind of modeled that. So if you see that can around stores,
the generic one.
If you see that around stores, that's Tehachapi Light. And that's the thing, is that a lot of breweries don't have lagers on. I mean, they take time to do it. They're a little bit longer and everything too. So tank space and, whatever your production is. So they just take a little bit of time, but I tell you what, that's a popular beer, and we just keep going like that. So that, Loop Lager iterated into Tehachapi Light, and then we've had a couple IPAs and, with different recipes. I didn't like this, so I think we can do this better. And so we did that better. And now we've got, Tehachapi IPA, we've got H Street Hazy, those ones like that. And they're all named after something up here.
H Street Hazy I remember when you first brought that out, it was, it's still, you still brewing it. So obviously it's super popular, but it really was, it had that, it just didn't feel like it was a super heavy hazy, because hazies sometimes get really heavy. Yep. And that's a popular beer, and that's one of my favorites.
It's finding that balance of what you like versus, you got to remember I can make beer that I like all day long, but I got to make beer that people like, the masses like, because that's who keeps coming back in. So that's that fine balance. So I know what I like, but I got to remember that we're making beer for people.
My father-in-law's a stout guy, and he loves your railroad stout. Yep. I took him there a couple of times, and he's like, and he drinks he especially orders his stouts, and he goes, "This is one of the best stouts I've ever had." Yeah, and that's what he drinks, that heavy motor oil, the thick stuff.
And that's a staple, and that's the one we've won probably the most awards. That and the red, we've won the most awards with, and everything too. So those have been with us ever since. And I'm a red drinker. I love reds from start to finish. And my dad's straight up from England. He loves room temperature dark beers. My dad, that's what he loves. So
I remember the first time I met your dad, he had a British accent. I'm like, who is this guy? This is my dad. Oh, we're from England. Oh, had no clue.
Yep, off the boat and everything too. Yeah. So I try to keep some beers, it's a true to style English form just for him. He's 85 years old. I think he deserves something like that.
He's a cool guy.
Nice.
He's cool.
So what's the future hold?
Tuesday, hopefully,
Yeah, tomorrow. So we're recording Monday.
This weekend.
Yeah. No,
you're working on a project. You were a little teaser there earlier.
Yeah, there's some more barrel aged stuff coming out. I'm not going to say who is with, but as soon as I get the stuff, there'll be some more barrel aged stuff coming out with more of a local area, and then get cans out to more people, increase this music space. expand as we go. We're expanding a little bit here and there, which is good. You know, the organic expansion. So
it was never about the business or money. It was more about just, I love making beer.
I do. It's fun.
And that's when businesses are very successful. When you're doing something you love, you're successful.
I think it was a while back, Derek and I were talking, and he made the comment about, you know, working his other job, and he's like, yeah, it's stressful, but then when I go to the brewery, I'm the ice cream man. Everyone loves what I get to sell, you know, and I love being there because everybody wants to come and see me.
Yeah, when you supervise employees in my other job and stuff like that, it's like you never they always want something from you, and you can never provide enough. You know, it just
sounds like I should start making beer.
I look and I go, you guys aren't working for me at the brewery. We're not. You got to do your job, but now you're at the brewery. You're either an ice cream salesman or a brewer, and you make everybody happy, or at least most people happy, though. So
yeah,
that's
awesome.
I found that to be true with the wineries too.
Exactly.
The winemakers in town, they love making wine and hosting.
Yeah,
they just love it.
And then, like, I don't think anybody, like, maybe some of the wineries did this before previously, like, where had a venue or did this or did that or ran a business doing this kind of stuff. But I think everybody just kind of organically liked doing this, and they had an opportunity to go and open something, which is a blessing in disguise right there. I mean, it takes a lot of work to open a brewery, and everything happened to line up perfectly to do this, and we're still here, which is really cool. And the community's behind us, which is really cool too. And I think, you asked what the future holds. I think more events within Tehachapi for sure. I think that's going to be something that we're going to really.
So there's a little teaser. Yeah, Derek and I are working on a Tehachapi beer festival of some sort, maybe down on Green Street. Who knows?
Yep, and that kind of stuff, and then just keep going and providing community something, giving some people something to congregate around and be part of, enjoy life again and everything too, and then. Just bring that community, keep building the community stronger and stronger each and every day.
Tehachapi has a lot to share.
Absolutely.
We have a lot to share, a lot of good people and a lot of good product.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think this town of, I don't know how many, 50,000 people scattered out through everything now is just, I mean, you've got 5 wineries, 3 breweries, 2 tasting rooms, and everything else. I mean, it's becoming this little thing now. If the train
quaint downtown, all of our museums, the BK Theater. I mean, just go on and on and on, right?
But you can't do it in one day.
No.
It's gotten to that point where it was, we stopped by and we hit everything. Not anymore. You got to spend the weekend up here to be able to, or even 3 or 4 days to be able to really enjoy each of to do multiple stops.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
And everybody seems to have a little bit of especially on the beer side, it seems like everybody has a little bit of a niche too. I mean, LCB's got cool events like Geeks Who Drink and that kind of stuff. And they'll bring in some music as well. And then Old West, a little bit of music, but they do a lot of comedy, a lot of comedy shows there. And that's a cool little venue for comedy. It's a cool setup. And then you're doing a lot of music and open mic and that. So everybody seems to have not only good beer, but they all got kind of a different little niche and entertainment thing they're going with as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's just getting people in the doors. And once they get, you will find something you like to drink. Don't be afraid of a microbrewery. Come out and try it. It's not going to make you sick or anything else like that. The beer's clean.
Well, a lot of folks there, they I want to say raise, but that would be too much. But they're used to drinking the one light beer, whatever it may be, that they've always drank.
The blue can or the silver can?
Exactly. Yeah. And so now it's trying to expand their palate. And I think you're right. You've got a few on tap that they'd be like, okay, this isn't a blue or silver can, but this is, I can have a couple of these and enjoy it.
Yeah, I kind of fall that's kind of been me over my life is it's either been a silver can or, something that's got, and that's just what I've always done until recently getting to venture out and stop at a couple of microbreweries when we've been out of town. It's like, what have I missed?
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about the awards. You mentioned that one of the beers had won an award, but let's brag on you a little bit about these awards. We've got award-winning wines. Let's talk about some of our award-winning beers.
Well, we haven't been in like big competitions, and that's probably one of the things that's on on our radar further out and everything too. A lot of these breweries you'll never see in these competitions because we try to strive for the local community and everything too. The market would be good. It'd be cool to win a bigger award, of course, and we'll get there, I think, at some point in time in life. But we've won a lot of local contests, a lot of San Diego stuff, like the smaller contests and stuff like that. It's just good to get your beer judged by beer judges and everything, and the feedback from that too at the same time, or this tasting note or this tasting note. And they always give you little hints and everything. These are certified beer judges that have gone to the Cicerone program and all the other stuff that, that sit there and do the whole wine tasting, sipping thing, and they can tell you, this yeast stress or should have hopped earlier, or the grain went too long, or you boiled too hot. I don't how they do it beyond me. I don't have that palate. Half the time I can't taste the hops in a beer.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm the guy who goes, "This is good."
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So you take those notes and you come back and you make adjustments.
Yeah, we've had through Railroad Stout. It was a good beer initially, and then we just kind of added different types of grains at different times, different hops, different times. The way we add coffee beans to it at the end. I'm not giving the secrets up on air how we do this kind of stuff, but it gives it that you think you're kind of getting, with a little bit of coffee, but there's no astringency in it. There's just a little hints of it, so, like dry hopping and things like that. There's little secrets here and there you can do, and you pick up from other brewers and pick up from competitions and things like that over time. So it's good to do that. And yes, we probably need to do that more often and just to kind of get out there as we've got, 10 or so on tap, we can kind of get some feedback, some outside feedback, but I think we're getting plenty of feedback right now from the people that come in. And they're always willing to tell you, oh, you should try this or make this or do this. I'm like, that's a great idea. And I take stuff on board, of course, for sure. And we make those little iterations. So,
and things like this is what really changed. I mean, even the beer game on a national scale, because of the microbreweries coming out and doing their own thing, they were cutting into the beer market, and the big guys, the blue and silver can guys were like, hey, what the heck? And they went and bought a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you look at some of these people out there, like, I know when Shock Top first came out, right? It was a huge hit, and it was a fairly medium-sized brewery, and guess what? They were snatched up by the Anheuser-Busch folks and their company, and then Leinenkugel up there in the Midwest, again, phenomenal, snatched up by Miller Coors. I mean, they took it. So, because they wanted that flavor that they couldn't really figure out, right?
Yeah,
they were mass producing simple stuff.
Yeah, and it was a good market for them too. It's a good business decision to grab, that one line of beer that's doing so well, grab it, buy that line of beer from that brewery and own that line of beer. And that's why the independent, you see when you look at bottles and cans that have the upside down beer thing, it's the Independent Brewers Association. So when you sell to, or the bigger companies like those, they're not the independent owners anymore, and they're not part of the independent beer stuff. But yeah, it's a cult and market. I don't even know what you want to call it anymore. The movement, the beer scene, whatever. Yeah. It's everywhere you go. Each town's got their own little following for this, that, and the other, and it's kind of cool.
When I travel, I on purpose will order a local beer.
Yeah,
I'm done with the blue and silver cans. I order the local beer because I want to support the locals.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've seen on both sides too. I've got a chance on 2 occasions to go check out like the giant Miller Coors brewery in Milwaukee and see that on an amazing, their distribution as well. I mean, we were there one time and they had this warehouse. It was 2 football fields long, 2 wide, and it's stacked full. And the guy said, by the way, by the end of this weekend, it was like a Friday, he goes, by Sunday, all this beer is gone because it all goes to Chicago and Milwaukee. And like gives you a sense of how much beer that region of the U.S. does consume, especially in the summertime. And I'm like, no way.
It's bananas.
It's amazing.
It's bananas.
And then to see their scale of how everything is brewed and fermented for that, on that major scale. But then they also still have the cool things like the old beer caves. They used to put the beer in before they had refrigeration. They'd get ice out of the lake and they'd stock it in there, and you can go in the original beer caves, how it all started. Like, it's really cool. It's fascinating.
One of the most fascinating ones, I think personally, is Maui Brewing Company. You go there for that small island of Maui, and the mass production they do there, the whole facility they have, it's amazing what they can do on that small island for as much beer as they produce.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's good to see it, and how they started to at the same time. And you just see the progression of all these things go through and go through and go through.
You should sell your beer at Mechanics Bank when they have hockey. We know the management of Big City, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll knock on their doors.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a goal too. At the same time, is trying to keep breaking into some other markets and get some other avenues at the same time too. Yeah. But I think our plans that we've got going on here are pretty good right now.
I like it.
You've done an awfully good job of progressing and growing the business, and then the extended reach of the other businesses that now survive and grow, that weren't here before. I think that's just a testament to, your vision, your dream, your passion, and then that spills over because it's contagious. People can feel that. If you really love what you're doing, people get that vibe, and then it's that ripple effect.
Yeah, and we love people, though. Honestly, my wife and I, we run this business pretty hard, and it takes a lot of our time. But at the same time, we're we've got kids and we're family and everything too, and we want to make time for that, and we want to provide an environment for other families to come and enjoy this too at the same time. So that's why, microbreweries are the thing. They're not bars, like Corey said, so you can bring your family in and be part of our family at the same time too, which is, and we're part of the Tehachapi family.
It's a lot of fun, and people behave.
Yes.
It's not a bar. I can't stress that enough. It's not a bar.
You guys literally
people
got
are
married
playing.
in the place.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, you run it so much. Your wedding and reception was in the brewery.
Yeah.
And people are
we
playing
did.
board games and having
Yeah.
conversations. It's really a cool event.
Yeah, and then like I say,
Cool time.
we talked about the music theme. We talked about the other things that are coming. It's really humbling to see that we've looking back now from where we started to where we are now. I can't say much has changed except for now we know a little bit more of what we didn't know. And I think next week we'll know a little bit more of what we didn't know before that, and we'll just continue to do the things we're doing. So it seems to be working, and we can't be humble. We can't be more thankful to the community and everybody supporting us, and you guys too at the same time.
And what are your hours?
Right now we're doing Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays all evenings. Saturdays we're open midday, so
Okay.
from 2. So anytime you're off, we want to catch the people coming off of work that maybe want to go have a conversation and illuminate on the things they've talked about today, and grow from there. That's how it's good. And we close earlier too, because like we said, we're not a bar, and we'll get you home in enough time to spend time with your family after you've had some community beers.
Yeah. And you're right on 8th Street, right across the tracks, right behind the water tower.
Yep.
In downtown.
Yep, on 8th Street, on the north of the tracks.
Social medias?
Yep, Facebook, Instagram, Westlane Brewing.
Okay, so easy to follow along, and you guys are snapping shots of the musicians and the new beers that are coming out, and putting that all out for people to get exposed to, and so they should follow along.
Yeah, so on Wednesday nights we have open mics. On Thursday nights we have paint night. So if you're interested in coming out and painting with an instructor that night, get signed up with Sarah Sherry. She does that stuff on Thursday nights, and then Fridays and Saturdays we usually leave it open for music and events and stuff like that. And then we've had several community events as far as bringing local vendors in, things like that Christmas fairs and things like they bring in the local vendors, set up shop. We'd call it Brews and Buys, so you can meet some of our local vendors and have a beer and stimulate the economy that way too, and support them that way at the same time too.
When Claire Scotty comes in, and we do our weekly show, they do the charcuterie box for wine, but they have one for the beers too, that they've kind of matched to pair with what they're going to taste at. Do they have conversations with you about what you should suggest that they try, or
Everything
what
goes with
flavors?
beers.
I know. I was going to say.
I mean, something salty, savory, those kinds of things. But I know that she's in direct contact with you.
Yeah, we talk weekly and everything too, and we keep her up to date with the things that are going on. She keeps us up to date with the tours that are coming through, which is really cool too. At the same time, I know that in the summertime it gets real busy with their stuff to get more people coming through. But yeah, anything fried,
There you go.
crunchy, salty.
Yeah. No, that's why I think
Yeah.
beer's got a bit of an advantage, because sometimes there'll be people a food vendor that's at a winery, and I'm like, it's an interesting pairing with
It
wine.
is.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
but with beer, everything goes. You're like,
Right.
oh, you got cheese fries, solid.
Yeah,
It doesn't go with a
exactly.
glass of Cabernet, but it'll go with a glass of Tehachapi
yeah,
Light.
It's been a hot dog, hot dog and wine. I'm
Yeah.
not sure
I'm
that
not
goes,
sure.
but a hot dog and beer all day
It
long.
works for beer.
And our friends at Whole Shot Pizza, they go out to the wineries a lot too, and that's a good wine
Yes.
pairing.
Yes.
But maybe like a taco and wine. I haven't heard. I mean, I know it's out there a lot, but it's interesting
tough.
to me.
Yeah.
Tacos and beer work pretty good. Tacos and
Yeah.
wine. I'm open to try it. Definitely open to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see that kind of stuff too, because
Sure.
like I said, we share a lot of the same food vendors with them at the same time too. So there's always, if you're looking for that one food truck, it's usually up here on the weekends, Tehachapi, whether it's our place, the other breweries, or the wineries. Just got to follow them at the same time too. And the good thing, the wineries close down a little earlier, so if you're looking for music and everything after you're entertained by that, come on over.
It's awesome.
Well, Derek, anything that we haven't touched on, or that you want to mention?
Good question. There's probably 1,000 things we could continue to talk about for
Yeah.
sure, but I mean, mainly it's just like Greg and Corey and you guys have said, there's something going on in here at Tehachapi, and it's kind of cool if you don't know about it yet. I'm not saying it's anything that has to do with us. I think there's just something happening here in Tehachapi. It's a good vibe with the music wherever it is, with the drinks wherever it is, whether it's a winery, another brewery, or just hanging out. And there's good plans coming up. So there's a scene here in Tehachapi that's coming up, and everybody's enjoying it. Like somebody compared us on Saturday night, and I'm not. They're like, this is the new House of Blues in Tehachapi. And I'm like, I kind of chuckled a second, but some of the pictures that some of the folks took, it looked like a House of Blues for a second, with the lighting and the venues, and they were taking cool pictures and everything. And I was like, I stayed up most of the night thinking about that. And I go, maybe that is happening here. I'm not sure, but it's kind of cool to see that what's going on here, and then you guys supporting it and wanting to see it grow at the same time too. And we'll just keep our foot on the gas with this stuff and trying to make it grow. So
That's exciting.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So, Greg, I'm glad you kept poking me, saying, "Hey, because Derek and we've played phone tag with this for probably 6 months or so. Going back and forth with a date and having to change it and move it. So, and Greg goes, "Hey, have you talked to Derek? We want to talk about the music scene. We want to get
the music scene. The music scene." In quotes.
I mean, it's been one of those because of what I think you guys have talked about that maybe potentially might come this summer or fall, whenever this is. The music, which was never part of the fabric of Tehachapi, now is woven in, as we've talked about, and it is a scene, and it needs to be recognized and talked about.
And that's why even for us on the 4th of July, we've transitioned to, we want local acts. Matter of fact, I really like to get some recommendations from some of the open micers. The last few years, we said, let's go with the local younger kids that are playing, or a band, not a bar band, not a cover band, but let's showcase some of the talent.
Yeah, music has always been part of the fabric of Tehachapi, but there's not been a lot of venues. So now all of a sudden we have venues where people can share their art. And so it's really
And we used to just
time.
have both kinds of music, country and Western, but now we actually have a lot more different styles in our music scene, which is awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing is all these bands coming through, they've all got their unique sound, whether it's reggae, whether it's folk country, whether it's old country, and they get into it too, man. If you didn't see the Soda Crackers a couple weeks ago, these kids killed it.
They were great.
They killed it. And they get dressed up and they play the part and they get into it. I mean, like Old Merle Haggard, Dwight Yoakam, all these songs. I'm like, I would never expected that kid that was singing to sing that song the way he did. And I was blown away by it. And that's the kind of thing you get taken back by these things because you don't think that's going to happen. And you're like, wow, this is pretty impressive.
Or the mashups. You had Dub Seeds doing rap songs on reggae beats the other night. And then they end with Rage Against the Machine, which was a joke earlier in the day I'd made to my brother was there, and he's a hardcore music guy. And I said, I was joking about playing Rage, and they left, and then they played it. I sent him a video. I said, they played Rage.
Yeah,
like, it was hilarious.
Somebody told me about Gary, their bassist. They said, hey, when he comes up here next time, you got to hit him up about, don't let him not play that song because he does such a good job on it.
So good.
So that was one of my requests. He did it.
And Fiddler's Crossing right over here across the street from City Hall, they've had live music for
I
years,
would say they've been the
decades.
pioneers.
Yeah, I mean the bluegrass.
Right.
I mean it's a small little venue. You have to buy tickets, and they can only hold 10 or 20, 30 people, maybe, I don't know. But acts from all over the world have come to Fiddler's Crossing for many, many years. We have a really great music scene in our community.
And Bakersfield Sound Company too. Another shout out to them too because they've been really helpful for getting the word out too. They've been really good. The music store down there, they've got all the musicians coming through and a bunch of they do a lot of production there at the same time too. They've been sharing this stuff and getting bands out and recommending bands here. Check out this place. Check out this place. They always send some people our way. See if we have some dates open.
Great.
So
Awesome.
All right.
Good conversation.
Yeah.
Some big events coming up here. We got a bluegrass festival coming up, but he's put a local kid named Django Stafer. He's
Love
putting it
Django.
on. Yep.
Yeah.
He's putting on. So there's 4 or 5 bands coming through on the 31st. Couple, like 25-minute sets, 30-minute sets. That's on the 31st, and then the Tehachapi hardcore punk scene that's making a comeback. Jerry's Pizza of Tehachapi. So that's another music scene that's coming up. We've got a guy that's producing it, and he's got about 5 bands coming through on the 18th of March too. So a lot of good stuff. We're kind of booked out to about June with music and
Something for everyone.
yeah, for sure.
That's a long ways out to be booked out that you can with music, especially with musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've got calendars, but when we talk on this scale, I mean, a lot of them are kind of maybe 3 or 4 weeks out, but if you're looking that you're already into summer.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
June,
June, July, and August. We've got some stuff booked in June, July, and August, but we're with some opening days, but we're pretty solid through June now.
That says how popular you are, your facility, your venue are with the musicians, that they would want to, continue to reach out to you and say, hey, we're available. When can we look forward to playing?
Get some smoke machines on Amazon and some lights on Amazon. It's amazing what the ambiance will do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But they're having a good time, and you're getting that return, the feedback from the community, from the other businesses, and this growth. So congratulations on 5 years.
Humbled. Still can't believe it's there, but I'm humbled.
It's gone by fast.
Next time we do this, we're going to do this at Westlane with pints, though.
Let's do it.
After work hours is what we're going to do.
I was going to say no drinking on work.
That's what I'm saying. After,
That's right.
after work hours, and we'll record another episode.
Yeah, and getting more of the breweries together and, participating in the local events, whether it be sports or whatever's going on downtown and things like that, and really kind of getting that stuff out there and supporting the community. That was another good thing too that we're active in.
And you guys have been a part of the farmers market this last year too.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like for you guys? Does it just give you more exposure?
Yeah, it does. And it gives us a chance to talk to customers maybe we wouldn't see in the brewery because they're going through and things like that, and they just grab some cans and go home. They don't get to go out or something like that, but we get some feedback, and it's good to see the different crowds because every event, and even Apple Festival at the same time too. It's truly amazing how many people still, like I said, still live here, that have lived here for 30 years that don't know Westlane exists or any brewery that exists and everything too. And local craft beer's been here 8 years, 9 years going on it. So when it was Honey Wagon before that, when Steve owned it. So there's, like I said, there's something going on. So hopefully this podcast reaches you or reaches somebody and everything too. And you guys make your way out this weekend or next weekend or the weekend after that,
That's the hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's follow along Westlane Brewing on your Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
And you guys are located at 207 East H Street.
Yep.
So that's just going to be just to the east of Green Street as you cross over by the historic depot. Once you get on the north side of the tracks.
You'll see the big sign. You can't miss it.
Yeah, look for the orange sign.
So all of our microbreweries are there on the north side of the tracks. And, you've got the Tehachapi Beer Mile that, Corey, you've mentioned a few times on shows. Yeah. And just, I'm impressed with, as I mentioned earlier, just the effect that it's had with other businesses and how our neighbors have been able to create something, and it's grown from, just the basic levels of a table, a grill, and now they're in a food truck and they've got a business, and it's grown from something very small to something very substantial.
Yep, giving people opportunity and platform to go. Just like with the music, you get these local kids coming through that play on open mic, and it just, you can kind of see them escalate. It's pretty cool.
Well, exciting stuff. So Derek Davis from Westlane Brewing. Derek, thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah. So, guys, anything else in
I think
closing?
we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Congrats on 5 years.
Thank you.
Any questions that you might have for Derek or for us, please send it to media@tehachapicityhall.com. We'll get any of those questions over to Derek, but we suggest you follow along on their social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook. That's at Westlane Brewing. And we just appreciate the time you spend with us here on Tehachapod, and we'll catch you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi, featuring the community members who make this such a special place to call home. If you have a question or a thought you'd like to share, email media@tehachapicityhall.com. Thank you to Gary Mazzola for sharing his song, This is Tehachapi.